following is a Learfield presentation of the Blue Devils Sports Network. Live from Grub, this is the Duke Women's Basketball Radio Show. Our coverage of Duke Women's Basketball has been brought to you by Coca-Cola. They say Coke Zero is irresistibly tasty. Does that make it the best Coke ever? Find out for yourself. Alongside head coach Carol Lawson, here's the voice of Duke Women's Basketball, Chris Edwards.
And we welcome you to a special edition of the Carol Lawson Radio Show. I'm Chris Edwards. Great to be with the head coach of the Blue Devils, Carol Lawson, and great to have you with us. Coach, a lot to get into. Let's go back and talk about the last two games for your club last week. The win over Virginia Tech at home last Thursday, the loss to NC State on Sunday. As you think back on the last week, what stands out for you?
I think just what stands out is that we're just continuing to have new experiences as a team together. And for our group to be able to get a home win against a ranked team, against a team that played in the Final Four a year ago, that was a confidence booster for us. I thought we started the game slow. That was probably both those games we did, but we were able to just competitively stay in it, not give in to the score, down double digits early, and just fight our way back. And then when we fought our way back, we were able to stretch it out as well in that second half. So it was a good win for us, and I was really proud of our young group.
I want to talk about the starts because that's been something we've addressed a lot in the last couple of weeks. And I want to spend some time talking about that from a Virginia Tech standpoint, just the slow start there and the way that your team was able to battle back in that game. How proud were you of the way they were able to start slow but found a way to get it done there in the end?
Yeah, I mean, the slow starts have been an issue. Obviously, we've addressed it with our group and, showed them where we need to improve. And our group just needs to be better. At the start of games, you can't get down double digits and expect to just keep pulling rabbits out of a hat. That doesn't work against good teams. It's hard enough just to stay even with a good team the whole game and then figure out a way to win at the end. To be playing from behind all the time is playing with fire. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about that with our group, and our best chance to win is to be locked in from the beginning and know that you're not always going to be up, but we shouldn't be down that much. To start if we're locked into what we're doing. So it's just a focus and a discipline thing with our scheme, and hopefully we'll be able to be better this week.
Did you feel like there was a spark or something that sparked your turnaround on Thursday against Virginia Tech there late in the first quarter? Because we talked about it. You said it was important to be down 4, 5, 6 points like you were at the end of the first quarter there.
Yeah, I think in the media timeout, we just talked about, like, what's done is done. Mm-hmm. Like, we're down. Let's try to get our defense back. Mm-hmm. Let's try to do the scheme. Let's try to really limit them in the half court. And I think that second part of that first quarter, I want to say we limited them to like 4 points or something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can't remember. I think they had 13, and then they ended up in the first quarter, maybe with 18 or something like that. And then so our team started to gain confidence, through that second half of that first quarter, where it's like, oh man, we're getting a stop. Oh, they scored once. We're getting a stop. And that carried over to the second quarter, where we had 8 points the whole quarter. And so our group just kept gaining confidence because it was working. And that I thought was a difference.
You kind of mentioned this, but I want to piggyback on it. How much for your club do you feel like your defense kind of fuels your offense and able to get back in games in a situation like that?
Well, I mean, I think that's true of any team. Mm-hmm. I think your defense can fuel your offense. And for us, it fuels it because if we're able to force a turnover or get a stop, we can now run. If we're taking it out of the net, that slows down. And that's, like I said, any team. Sure. I mean, that's the team coming in here Thursday night. They run on you so well. But that's where we've started to make some improvements, where when we get the ball, our transition, our spacing, our decision-making, getting out and running. We have multiple playmakers in transition, can pass. So all of those things, I think, are what make us better on offense when we get stops, because we can run with pace back at teams.
This is probably true of every basketball team, but specifically for you, working so hard on the defensive end, each and every possession, how much does it help when you're also making buckets on the offensive end that, man, we're getting stops, but we're also making buckets too?
Yeah, it's kind of the reverse of what I was talking about. Yeah, I mean, like, if you're trying to defend a group and they have to take it out of the net every time, you can get set. Mm-hmm. Like, you can get people back. You can get set. You can put the players on the matchups you want them on, right? When it's a turnover, like, you're just trying to save yourself from drowning.
Sure.
So you might have a post player on a guard or a guard on a post player, because in the moment we say like transition supersedes matchups. Like it doesn't matter who your matchup is in transition. Like you got to find somebody. But when you got set, whether it's a field goal or free throw and it's made, you've got a better chance at succeeding in that position.
We talked a lot early in the season about being in those environments, Stanford, South Carolina, those games, and competing in the environment. Your team won in the environment on Thursday
for the
night.
first time.
How big was that for this group?
Yeah, I think it was good. I mean, you got to be able at some point, you know, you have to have the result.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the outcome. You know, you get tired of hearing, you grow weary of hearing like, oh, we're competing. Like, just stay with it. It's going to come. It's going to come. Like, at some point, it's got to come.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to get the reward of the win in the environment, I think was a confidence booster.
How do you piggyback on that? Because now they've won in the environment. How do you continue to compete and win in that environment?
Well, we did it on Sunday, so I don't know. You know, I think we just continue to reinforce why we won in the environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like why was that game different? Why were we able to finish that, and then try to have those repeatable behaviors, and hopefully you can do that. What makes it hard is, you know, the opponent doesn't just allow you to repeat behavior, right? Like you have to work to be able to repeat behaviors against these teams. So it's not just like they'll just stand there and say, hey, yeah, box me out, or hey, yeah, you know, you have to be able to do that against a really good basketball player and a really good basketball team. But that's what I think we try and do, is just reinforce why it went well and try and get them to repeat what they did on Thursday.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and have more with Coach coming up in just a moment. This is the Carol Lawson Radio Show, presented by Grub on the Blue Devil Sports Network from Learfield.
And we're back with the action. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. With an irresistible taste and zero sugar, Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any sports fan. So make sure you... Wait, Jim, I didn't mean try it right now. We're still on the air.
Best Coke ever? Take a taste, Jen.
Really?
No, not right now, Jen. We got a game to call.
Going to hoist up a three. How about another dagger?
This is Duke head women's basketball coach Kara Lawson. When it comes to keeping our team healthy, we turn to the team at Duke Sports Medicine. They offer full-service sports medicine care at locations throughout the Triangle, where you can see the same experts used by Duke Athletics. Make an appointment or learn more at dukehealth.org/sportsmedicine. Go Duke.
The crowd will rise as one, and what a statement, and what a win.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Back with the Carol Lawson Radio Show, presented by Grub. Chris Edwards, great to be with Coach Lawson. Coach, I continue to be impressed with the job that Kennedy Brown doing for your club, really on both ends of the floor. Thursday, I feel like she did such a good job defensively on Kitley, but also came down with 6 points and 10 rebounds. Just a really good game for KB on Thursday night.
Yes, I think in conference play, she's definitely raised her level. If you look at her numbers, there's been an uptick in, her scoring, her rebounding specifically, which we emphasize to all our group, the rebounding, and she's really taken upon herself to get in there and get more rebounds. And then, Kennedy continues to be just our anchor on the defensive end, our coverages and getting people in the right places. And in that game specifically took on the toughest defensive matchup, having to go against Kitley, and obviously they've gone against each other for a couple of years now, but I thought she had another solid defensive performance.
She had 14 points on Sunday at NC State. How much is her offensive part of her game going? We know how good she is on defense, but how much is she coming along from an offensive perspective?
We just want her to be aggressive is what it is, and she knows that she has our full support in terms of full confidence to keep being aggressive, and she has the green light to take a shot from anywhere. You've seen her take threes this year. You've seen her take that high post shot, or even the short corner, a little bit outside the short corner. I think that was the first bucket of the game. So she has that ability, and we encourage her to do that. And, getting some production from her. I think she's capable of being a double-figure scorer every night for us. I really do. I think she's capable of getting 7-8 rebounds a night for us, and then she's got to work to that, and not necessarily be stat hungry in that way. I think more of Kennedy, because she's so about making the right play, that the stats for Kennedy are more indicative of her aggressiveness level than they are she's trying to get stats, if that makes sense. I don't know that she's ever done that a day in her life. She's just got a great mindset to coach. She's going to make the right play time and time again, and we're just fortunate to have her. I already, you get this way with seniors, and when you get past the midway point of the year, which we are, past the midway point of the year, you're just like, oh my God, what are we going to do without them? You start thinking, because it's been such a luxury to have a player like that. These last 2 seasons that I know I can count on. I know her basketball intelligence is a high level on both ends. She's a great passer. She's just a great person. And, so I'm really going to miss Kennedy next year for sure.
Especially on the defensive end. You mentioned it, where she gets you in the right spots and gets you lined up. She's almost like the quarterback of your defense.
Well, I tell these two this all the time, and, they're probably rolling their eyes at me at some point. But I tell Jaden and Delaney, you have no idea what life is going to be like next year when there's not someone telling you where to go, because that's what she does. Yeah. She tells them where to go every play. And that's her. I mean, she's a senior. She should. They're freshmen, right? They're not supposed to know where to go all the time yet. But now, next year, as sophomores, they're going to have to be the ones telling people where to go. And so that's something I'm going to miss her a lot. I don't know that I will miss her more than Jane and Delaney will.
Yeah, for sure.
Next year.
Over the last 2 games, Coach, 62 combined points in the paint for your group. Obviously not just your post players, but it's everybody. Pleased with the job that your team is doing, getting into the paint and converting the opportunities?
Yeah, I think there's still more to be had, more opportunities for us to get in the paint. We just keep impressing upon our team, especially our wings, keep being aggressive and get to the paint. It's really hard to get to the paint in conference play. People load up on you, and they try to force you to take those outside shots. And so we just keep trying to impress upon them the need to get into the paint, because when we get there, good things happen for us, whether it's scores or kickouts.
Have 3 players that are averaging in double figures right now, 5 players that are averaging 7.5 points per game or more. Do you like the balance of this club offensively?
Yeah, I just think that we can be better than we're playing offensively, and so it's just, staying with that and continuing to just grow in how teams are playing us. And then, ultimately making shots has been an issue for us. We've had some games like a Georgia Tech or like a Boston College where we shoot great, and then those same shots against other teams we miss. And that's a part of basketball,
sure.
But I just think we're better than we're playing on the offensive end right now, and hopefully we can start having some of those types of games.
But you're pleased with the quality of looks that you're getting?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, most games.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some games I haven't been all the way pleased, but yeah, for the most part.
Is it about consistency? I mean, sometimes shots don't fall, right, to your point, but it's the consistent effort of getting those good looks on a night-in, night-out basis?
Yeah, and I think, just working for the good looks, being consistent with, it's not like every time you come off a screen you're going to get a shot, but you have to run off that screen like you will, because you don't know if you will or won't. It's kind of like a wide receiver in football. You don't know if the quarterback's going to throw you the ball on that play. Most of the time I assume they don't know. You better run the route like he is going to.
Sure.
Because if you run it like he's not going to and he does, it's a problem, right? And so, that's a hard concept for young players. It's not just young players, all basketball players. We're going to run this play. I may or may not get the ball. I still got to have the same attention to detail as if this was this was me getting the ball, or I still have to set the screen for one of my teammates because she may or may not get the ball, but if I don't set the screen good for her, she won't get it. And there's too much of like inconsistency there for us, I think. And so we just, again, we show it to them and then try to, get them to be more consistent with their discipline and the execution.
All right, take a break. We'll come back and have more with Coach after this. This is the Kara Lawson Show, presented by Grub on the Blue Devil Sports Network from Learfield.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Order Bud Light online today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
For any surface in every season, Continental Tire is the smart choice in tires. From ultra-high performance tires like the Extreme Contact Sport to passenger touring tires to all-terrain light truck tires like the Terrain Contact AT, Continental has a tire that gives you confidence no matter the road conditions. Whether you're looking for summer, all-season, or winter tires, Continental Tire has something to fit your needs. Visit ContinentalTire.com to find your ideal tire. Continental Tire, a proud partner of the Duke Blue Devils.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast. With a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
That dog does not want to be petted.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Winter's here. Talk to the pros at Window Nation. Replacing those old windows is easier and more affordable than you think. With no interest for 5 years and 50% off all window styles. Don't wait. Simply call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com.
Welcome back to the Kara Lawson Show, presented by Grub. I'm Chris Edwards. Great to be with the head coach of the Blue Devils, Kara Lawson. Coach, this seems like such an unselfish group offensively. Over 50% of your field goals this year you've assisted on. Do you like just the nature of how your team shares the basketball on the offensive end?
Yeah, I do like their spirit around the offensive side of the ball. I mean, they do want to make the right play. I think that percentage could be a lot higher for us. How is that? How do we get better? I think it's our reads. I think we're late on recognizing, how they're playing in action, they being the opponent. And if we recognize it sooner, we could capitalize on it. And so I think we miss too many opportunities to capitalize on the coverage because we're late seeing it or we don't see it at all. And if we can start doing that a little bit more, I think you'll see our assist numbers go up, because if we see how someone's playing a ball screen and then we capitalize on it, usually that's a pass to a shot. Sometimes it's a one more, but it still would be an assist, right? Because you could drive in, kick it to somebody who one more to someone else, and then that's an assist on that end. So, assisted plays, I think, come out of course, transition, but in the half court, they come out of recognizing how people are being played and how they're playing certain actions, and then capitalizing on it.
Does some of that go back to what we were just talking about a second ago, like making sure you come hard off the screen every single time because you don't know if you're going to get the ball or not? Is all that kind of related?
Well, the base is you have to come off it hard, and you have to set it well, but then it's after that is what I'm talking about. So after you come off it hard, or while you're coming off it hard, how are they playing you? And then do you make the appropriate movement based off of that? That is where we have to continue to grow.
For T specifically, last 2 games, 7 assists, only 3 turnovers. I feel like she's been able to grow as a point guard as the season has gone along.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's getting better. This will be a real test for her this week because it's 2 teams that can pressure and can turn you over, and we'll have to handle that. I do think some of that was we played teams that don't pressure a ton, by and large, and they're really good defensively, but that's not their style to be all up on you as much. And so hopefully, T keeps growing in that area because our team as a whole, it's poor. Our turnovers, our assisted turnover ratio is poor, and we've talked about it and tried to get those number of turnovers down, and we've had some real gaudy numbers with that, especially like Boston College was like 28 turnovers. Although, looking back at that now, they're now forcing, I think, more turnovers than any team in the league.
They are.
So like, it still was bad, but like that's what stylistically, that's what they're doing this year. So, just trying to be better with ball security for sure overall.
All right, take another break. We'll come back and have more with Coach after this. It's the Kara Lawson Show, presented by Grub on the Blue Devil Sports Network from Learfield.
Duke fans know about excellence and achievement and the value of a Duke education. So when someone is injured and needs legal help, it makes sense to call the law offices of James Scott Farron, a statewide law firm managed by a Duke Law graduate. If you're injured in an auto accident or on the job, call on the Hurt Line, 1-800-HURT-LINE. The law offices of James Scott Farron, headquartered near Duke at 555 Mangum Street in Durham, North Carolina.
Steel gives you more than just reliable landscaping tools. Steel gives you battery-powered equipment trusted by the pros. From mowers and blowers to chainsaws and trimmers, take on your outdoor space with a name pros trust. Right now, save $20 on the BGA 57 battery blower set, including the AK-20 battery and AL101 battery charger. Real Steel. Find yours at steeldealers.com. Available for a limited time at participating dealers while supplies last.
Is your heating and air system ready for harsh weather? Call Newcomb & Company today to schedule a routine maintenance and ensure your system is operating at peak performance. Become a Comfort Contract customer to receive priority service and a 15% discount on service calls and repairs. Newcomb & Company has served the area as a Carrier Factory Authorized dealer for more than 3 generations. Turn to the experts today. Call 919-862-3000 or check us out at newcombandcompany.com. Newcomb & Company and Carrier. Your comfort is our business.
Lowe's knows pros want savings now. That's why, as an MVP's Pro Rewards member, you get volume savings on orders of $1,500 or more at the Pro Desk. And there's more. We've lowered our prices on select top products like electrical wire and drywall, so you can get the job necessities for less. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. In-store only. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
We're back with the Kara Lawson Show, presented by Grub. Thanks for joining us. Nobody's clapping for us today. I missed the claps. There they go. Back with the head coach of the Blue Devils, Kara Lawson. We've talked about this a lot over this year in our time together. Everybody in the ACC knows what you're going to do. They know your plays. How do you, after a team denies your first option, maybe your secondary option, how do your players go about getting another good look? Maybe it's your third, fourth, or fifth option.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. Like just getting our players to understand that the part of the play after the play is going to determine a lot of games in our league. Mm-hmm. Most teams are going to play the first initial part of your play well. And then what do you do after that? Or they're going to take away something. They know the play, and they're going to take away something within that play, and then how do you counter that? So just, again, continuing to rep. Like, we're just not a finished product yet in that regard, and continuing to rep those different actions for our players.
But isn't it okay on January 20 whatever not to be a finished product yet?
I mean, it is. It's just, our team, we just being young, we need to continue to grow. And you do sometimes feel like, other teams may be more of a finished product than you at this juncture just because of the continuity that they enjoy with their players. And so that's kind of the rush is not that we're worried we're not. It's that are we enough of one to win games?
Sure.
And that's the challenge.
I want to ask you about rebounding for a second. Out rebounded by 3 on Sunday at NC State. It's the first time in the last 4+ games that you've been out rebounded in a game. Do you like the effort that your club is giving on the glass?
Yeah, I thought on Sunday it wasn't as good as it's been, and I don't even think that's necessarily because of the numbers, although they do tell a story. I just thought we weren't as aggressive as we normally are, in particular on the defensive glass. We had done a great job. I mean, going into league play, I think we were last in the league in defensive rebounding percentage, and through non-conference we were the worst. And now I think we've, at least in ACC play, the games, I think we're in the middle of the pack. So you don't shoot for the middle, but that was growth for us. That has been growth for us on the glass. And we talked to them about that. Is like, we can't be at the bottom and expect to win a game. We have got to be better on the boards. And so we have shown improvement there, and, hopefully that will continue.
I feel like it's been more of a collective group from a rebounding perspective as of late than it has been maybe one or two players.
Well, honestly, as of late, I told the team this, I don't know when it was, the days run together, but recently.
Sure.
I told the team this recently. We had talked earlier in the segment about Kennedy and the uptick. I think she's made a concerted effort during conference play to be a better rebounder, and that's shown in the numbers. And then Aluchi's been our best rebounder all year. She's consistently done it. And so those two, to me, are the two that are the reason for the uptick. Not that everyone isn't doing a little bit more, but Aluchi's done it all year. Kennedy's shown great improvement in league play. And then, yes, we have other players doing it, but I think those two have been, and I think the numbers show it. They're our top two rebounding players. Yeah.
You mentioned the turnovers a second ago, and I just kind of want to blow past this. But there's a difference in a live ball turnover and a dead ball turnover that for your team, isn't there?
Yeah, not in the statistics there isn't, but I think this for most teams. I mean, if you're going to have a turnover, you would prefer to have the dead ball variety because it's a dead ball and you can get your defense set. Whereas a live ball turnover just feels like you're up against it. And so, yes, if you were going to pick which one to have, I mean, I know I would pick every time to have a dead ball one.
Sunday, notwithstanding, right, the turnovers, but do you feel like as of late, without Sunday's game, again, notwithstanding, better job lately of taking care of the basketball?
Yeah, I think we're more aware of it. I still think it's something that we have to not just be mindful of, it's something we have to work on. And so we try to work on that in plays and anticipating or not throwing it if we're not confident or seeing the extra defender. Sometimes you can kind of get so laser focused on the player you're trying to throw it to that you don't see that someone else is coming into the fray. So all of those things we're trying to rep with them in practice so that they can start to see things in practice first, and also see the different coverages in practice so we can simulate what it would look like in a game.
Before we turn to defense, we've talked a lot about offense, but are there other things that you want to see improved with this team offensively as we go throughout this week and into next week and down the ACC stretch?
On offense?
Yeah.
Improve?
Yeah. Sorry, that was a loaded question.
Yeah. I think for us, I think execution when we get into the half court is something I'd like to see us improve. Making those reads that we talked about, and then being confident when we shoot it. We have good shooters on our team. I think it's more of just being confident with when we get open looks to knock them down.
We haven't talked a lot about your bench this year, but it seems like your bench every single night out has a really good game. Somebody coming off the bench has a big game. What does it say about this group that's ready as soon as their number is called?
Yeah, it's a young bench, and not only is it young, it's inexperienced within our system. So, like, Camilla's not young, but it's her first year here at Duke, right? Emma is a sophomore, but she didn't really play as a freshman. So this is like her freshman year in terms of experience. Lucci and Delaney are freshmen. Woody's a freshman. Lou's a freshman. Okay? So, it's young.
Yeah.
It's a young bench. And so when I look at it, they are figuring out how to impact the game in ways that they're capable of. And then they're owning that. And so that's something that's been great to see. And then with the foul trouble, they're all showing that they can play extended minutes. When our starters get in foul trouble, you've seen a number of games where someone off our bench has to play like 7 or 8 minutes in a row, and they all have the ability to do that. So that is something that's been good for us.
What does it say about the basketball IQ of this group, though? Because they know how they can impact the game whenever they get in there.
Well, I think it says that they are intelligent players, but more so than that, they're coachable. And, it's also a credit to their assistant coaches that they're teaching. It's a teaching thing, too. Like, it's one thing, you don't just, like, you're born and you're like, I know how I can impact basketball, right? Like, you have to be shown on film where you can make impacts on offense and defense, how you can help our team. And so that work is being done daily by the assistant coaches with each of those players to show them that. And then they're using their intelligence and their skill and their coachability to do that in a game.
We've talked a lot about playing consistently for longer periods of time, especially on defense. Did you feel like there was a more consistent stretch of solid play against Virginia Tech defensively Thursday night?
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I think that game as well as the Georgia Tech game were probably the games we had the longest stretches of consistency on the defensive end and physicality and pressure and all that. So that was good to see.
Felt like that third quarter against Virginia Tech was really like the best stretch that this team's played defensively maybe this year. Kind of reminded me, and I told you post-game, of the team last year at times in that third quarter.
Yeah, I thought that they came out with great intentionality with what we were trying to do and the carryover. And I don't know. I mean, outside of some of the blowout games this year, to hold an ACC team to single-digit quarters consecutively, it's really hard to do. You know, maybe Boston College a year ago because they just didn't score a lot of points in general in that game. But, I mean, even just to find that, I don't know when we've done that the last time in an ACC game.
Yeah.
It would probably be the BC game last year would be my guess.
Yeah.
Because, again, to do one single-digit quarter in ACC play is an incredible accomplishment. To do two consecutive in the same game,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You've held 4 of your last 5 opponents to 61 points or less. Now, that's all ACC opponents. Obviously, NC State, the outlier there. But is that a better understanding of the game plan and the defensive scheme by your team?
Yes and no. I think, like, the defense has been at a good level, and I think sometimes our pace gets slowing. I would like to play faster. I'd like to score more than we are. But I also know, like, we're not as deep as we were a year ago. Again, when we have foul trouble, I have to be careful about extending someone for too many minutes. So there's all those types of things that come into play. But, numbers-wise, I don't think we're as good as we were a year ago on defense. But I think we're good enough to win games in this league, and they're getting better every week.
Take a break. We'll come back and have more with Coach after this. It's the Carol Lawson Show presented by Grub on the Blue Devil Sports Network from Learfield.
Duke.edu, where real Duke fans shop.
Going to hoist up a 3. How about another dagger?
This is Duke head women's basketball coach Kara Lawson. When it comes to keeping our team healthy, we turn to the team at Duke Sports Medicine. They offer full-service sports medicine care at locations throughout the Triangle, where you can see the same experts used by Duke Athletics. Make an appointment or learn more at dukehealth.org/sportsmedicine. Go Duke.
The crowd will rise as one, and what a statement, and what a win.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
That dog does not want to be petted.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners. Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
That dog does not want to be petted.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
We're back with the Carol Lawson Radio Show presented by Grub. Thanks so much for joining us, Chris Edwards. Great to be with the head coach of the Blue Devils, Carol Lawson. Coach, is it harder as the season goes along to add layers to your defense or layers to your offense from a scheme standpoint?
I think I don't know. I think they're both equally challenging. You know, I don't know what I would answer that. That's a good question. I think this group is starting to be able to get layers defensively. which has been nice because we were pretty vanilla to start the year, and now we're able to do that. As far as offensively, we're still in the point of like trying to make the right reads. So I don't know that we're ready to layer as much. So for this group, it's been a little bit easier to layer, at least in the conference play with the defensive stuff.
You mentioned it. I mean, it might be older players, but they're young in terms of the scheme. How valuable is this, though, to have all this experience that they're getting this year as we look ahead toward the future? Not sacrificing now by any means, but looking throughout the rest of their careers.
Yeah, it definitely is exciting. I mean, I don't think you can be around our program and not be optimistic about the future. When you look at the talent that we have in the underclassmen ranks. I mean, we have 11 players. 8 of the 11 are freshmen and sophomores. 8 of the 11 are freshmen and sophomores. I mean, it's young. But they're competing with every team that we play in this league. And every team, or most every team, is a lot older than us, a lot more experienced than us, and they're holding their own most nights. And so I'm proud of that. And you're right, Chris. Just because you're young doesn't mean, and I don't want people to ever mistake when I say we're young, like that means that it's okay if we lose, or that means that it's okay that we make mistakes. No. They're held to the same standard as last year's team when that was experienced. But when you are coaching young players, you have to have an understanding that there will be some more mistakes maybe, or some things that they haven't seen yet that they have to figure out before they're just going to do it perfect right away. So I think that's where the leniency lies. But in terms of result, like, we expect to win. We don't give ourselves a pass because we're 8-11 freshmen and sophomores. We expect to win. The players expect to win. The coaching staff prepares to win. And, so far this season, we've won twice as many games as we've lost in playing, a top schedule when you look at our strength of schedule. So I've been pleased with how they've competed, and we want more. We want to keep winning, and that's the group. So I know I say we're young a lot, but I never want the fans out there to think that I'm saying it's okay to lose because we're young. No, it's okay to look at this team through a little different lens than maybe last year's team that had all that experience.
What's the biggest things you want to see improve defensively as we go through this week and before the next radio show next week?
I think our discipline within our schemes, one-on-one defensively, is going to be really important this week with as many talented players that we're going against and athleticism. And then the biggest thing I want to see improve is stop fouling.
Yeah.
It's been an issue for us all year. And you can't let good teams just get to the free throw line, and now it's easier to score. So I would say probably the number one thing would be more discipline defensively and not putting people to the line as much as we are.
We talk about the scheduling divisions, right? We're in the middle division. I forgot what we call it. Central Division, yeah. We've played 3 of the 4 teams in our division now once. And you're going to face everybody within, a 3.5 week span to close the regular season. Is that second meeting always more challenging because you've already got the tape from this year?
Yeah, I think it's more challenging on both sides. And it's more physical and it's more desperate because, in our division, everybody's playing for something. We've got the strongest division in the league, and that's not an opinion. The numbers bear it out by our record against the other divisions, right? And so, yeah, I mean, you think we're going to go out to Blacksburg and it's not going to be a rock fight. You're mistaken, right? You think you're going to, go over to Chapel Hill, or obviously we just went to Raleigh. I mean, we already went to Charlottesville. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the nature of what we do, and those competitive games. That's why there's such an excitement when you're able to win those, because how hard it is to do.
I just love, and I know this is the most competitive division, but I love this division because everybody feels like they're so close, and it's almost like getting 4 of your friends and somebody else is going to get 4 of their friends, and we're just going to go out and play a game. And I think that's what makes this area so unique and so special.
I agree with you. There's nothing like it anywhere around the country. I mean, you think of just not only our division, but just the triangle and the 3 teams that are here, and how good all of us are, and how great the fan bases are. It's really special to have that. Most places you got to drive a couple hours to get to the closest team, and here you don't have to drive at all. And their fans come to our games, our fans go to their games, and it just makes for. It's kind of like a high school. It's kind of like a high school game in the sense of there's just a bunch of fans from both teams, and they're playing one another.
I got to ask you, going back to Reynolds this past weekend, did you think about that game that you had in the Glaxo where you had all those points?
Yeah, not that much. I thought about it. We went over to shoot there the night before, and you can still see that deep, ends. You remember Reynolds when we had those deep ends?
Oh, yeah.
And so you can still see, like, where the court is at that one end, that it's like, you can still see the old bowl type thing, if I'm making sense over there. And so that's cool to be able to see that and remember that.
Or were there gyms for you playing, whether it was high school or college or in the pros, that you always shot better at than others? Did you have a favorite gym?
I don't think so. I mean, home gyms were always,
right.
I don't know that there was a road gym that I felt like really good or bad in. I always felt really good at home.
Yeah. I think everybody usually does, right? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. We'll come back and have more with Coach in a moment. This is the Kara Lawson Show, presented by Grub on the Blue Devil Sports Network from Learfield.
And we're back with the action. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. With an irresistible taste and zero sugar, Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any sports fan. So make sure you... Wait, Jim, I didn't mean try it right now. We're still on the air.
Best Coke ever? Take a taste, Jen.
Really?
No, not right now, Jen. We got a game to call.
I feel happy, Valero Pay Plus app.
I feel happy, it makes savings a snap.
Use it and start saving automatically.
You just save some money, not too shabby.
I feel happy, I'm in and out real fast.
I feel happy, now pit stops are a blast.
Download today and get in on the fun. Valero Pay Plus app, your savings have begun.
Imagine pulling up to PNC Arena in your very own custom Harley-Davidson. Well, that dream can become a reality. The Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, Shiny Side Paint, and your Carolina Hurricanes are teaming up to give the Ultimate Caniac a custom Hurricanes 2023 Harley-Davidson Softail. The bike will be given away live on the ice at the game on April 5th, and you might just win it. Go to caniacsbike.com. That's caniacsbike.com for your chance to win this custom-painted beauty of a bike. Do it now. Enter today.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here for my friends at Buffalo Brothers. It's hockey season, baby. I live and work on both coasts, travel the country. Here's the deal. There's nothing like Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials like half-priced appetizers Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and $6 Jamesons on Sunday. Dine in, carry out. BuffBrothers.com. Oh, man, now I want wings.
Back with the Kara Lawson Show, presented by our friends at Grub. Thanks so much for joining us. And, Coach, just a note about Grub, and we'll be back at Grub with our regularly scheduled shows next week, but certainly appreciate Wendy and her staff, not just what they do for the radio show, but for the program as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I eat there a couple times a week. I enjoy just the staff and also the patrons, the people, and it's like a great community place, right off Duke's campus. So it's one of my favorite places in town.
We've talked a lot, and you've talked a lot about this, about backing up wins in the ACC. Win a game on Thursday, got to back it up on Sunday. Is that one of the hardest lessons for a young team to learn, is how to back up wins?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because, the feeling you get of contentment and like achievement when you win, and then you have to turn around and kind of erase that feeling or flush it away and get that hunger and urgency back again. And that's hard to do because it's against, it is within your nature to be satisfied, and I've said this before, like I talk with our players about it, like success either inspires you or satisfies you. You achieve some level of success and most people get satisfied by it. They're like, oh, I've achieved. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm done. And the great competitors get inspired even more So they are successful with something, they achieve something, and now they're inspired to do it again. And they're inspired to do it again. They're inspired to do it again. And that is what you're trying to build into our, that's what I'm trying to help build into our team, is that insatiable desire to keep achieving, not be content with just one achievement, one win.
How about the crowd that we had Thursday night against Virginia Tech? We talked about at the last radio show that your team can really feed off a crowd. And I thought there in the third quarter against Virginia Tech, especially early during that spurt, might be the loudest I've heard Cameron all season.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd, and this happened to us a year ago as well, right? It just felt like, it feels like the community around the turn of the year in January, like it just starts to build, and they start to recognize the level of play, the excitement of our young team, and more people want to be a part of it. And so it's fun to watch as the season goes on and we get into these really meaningful games. It makes a difference for our players to have, a full house in Cameron and to have it be loud like that.
I want to talk about a couple of alumni notes that we need to discuss. First, Jazz Thomas. What a great career for Jazz, and certainly excited for her in the next chapter with the Wings.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've known Jasmine a long time. She's from the DMV. I remember watching her as a young player, and, she's one of the top players to come out of our area, and then, to obviously to come to Duke and have an incredible career, and then to play in the WNBA and have the success she had, both individual and team success. She's someone that comes back and gives back, spends time with our players, spent a bunch of time with us last year, and so just really happy for her and her next step. And she's, Jazz is someone like that was like an easy bet that she would be successful. Not only in her career and post-career, because she's very intelligent, she's very motivated, she's a great person. And she's very, very like goal-oriented and wants to succeed and wants to do well. So, I think this is just the beginning for her and her next phase of life. And, hopefully she'll still, I know she will. Hopefully she'll still, come back and be a part of the program.
Another alumni note, Chelsea Gray, announced yesterday, Chelsea selected to the 18 athlete roster for USA Basketball training camp as they compete in Brooklyn to pick the Olympic team that's going to represent the U.S. next year.
Yeah, I mean, I said it when she was here before, like best point guard in the world. We're really lucky to have the best point guard in the world be from Duke and be a Duke alum, and another player that's been amazing with our players and coming back and rooting us on, and just so proud of what she's been able to achieve in her career. So always supporting Chelsea and all of her endeavors, and certainly that's an endeavor we can all get behind here in the U.S., right? We can all get behind her success, or hopefully her future success with the U.S. Olympic team in Paris.
I was looking at the roster, and I know they were here earlier this year too, and when we played them, they were the training camp and stages, but I was looking at the roster, and I was like, man, how are you going to get it down to 18?
That's not our job. We don't have to worry about things that aren't our job.
I know, but man, like I don't want that job.
That's hard.
Can you imagine? I mean,
Well,
I know
no.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now, so you think that's hard? Imagine being one of the 18.
I know. Yeah, then you don't know, and then you could do your best, and then still not be one of the 18.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. It's a hard team. It's the hardest team to make in the world.
It's unbelievable.
It is, any sport.
Yeah.
That the U.S. women's national team is on the basketball side is the hardest team to make in the world, any sport.
Back to Chelsea real quick. How cool is it to see like Chelsea and Jazz too, and other alums when they get to come back by through Cameron, calling games and stuff, and seeing these Duke alums calling our games on TV?
Yeah, we love it. I mean, and our players, they recognize it, they see it, and that's part of the draw of being at a place like Duke is all the opportunities that come your way when you leave Duke, and those two are great ambassadors for our program and continue to do a great job on TV.
We talked last week about that new TV deal. I didn't get a chance to ask a couple follow-ups who were up against the time, but I'm curious how much the evolution of the women's game on TV has impacted the growth of the sport in your mind.
Well, I think, having more games on television, having more outlets, having more opportunities for women's games to be on network television, on cable television, has increased the awareness and increased the fan base more than anything. I mean, I can even think to like 5 and 6 years ago, there wasn't this many women's games on network TV. Now you will see on ABC, on Fox, on NBC network, you will see women's games. And it used to be a couple windows on ESPN2 on Sunday, and that's it. And so with the advent of all these different TV contracts and all the different conferences, we're getting onto channels with much more exposure and much more potential viewership, and I think that's good.
You hear the phrase "grow the game" an awful lot. What does that phrase mean to you?
You know, that's not one of my favorite phrases.
Yeah, I think it's an overused phrase.
It is. So I do think that's not because of what it's saying. I do think it's important to grow the game. I just think sometimes people overstate their ability, their individual ability to grow the game.
Because it's not an individual. It's a group effort. It's a collective effort.
Yeah. So they'll say, like, I'm doing this to grow the game. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that you're actually growing it, but okay.
I feel like, and I'm curious your perspective, it's a generational thing. It's the next generation of players, and it's everybody's responsibility to help move the game forward to the next phase.
Yeah.
Or is that? Or am
I think it can be interpreted for whatever you think it is.
Sure.
Like, I think when someone says grow the game, like, how do you grow the game? Okay. Or that action grows the game, you can think that or not. I think the best way to grow something is to work to be your best, right? So, like, the best way players can grow the game is to, like, maximize who they are as players, for the product on the court to be as good as possible. The best way for me as a coach to grow the game is to, like, be the best coach that I can be and help make my players be the best that they can be. So I think it's not like something you have to try to do per se, I guess is my interpretation of it. And someone else could think I'm totally wrong, and that's fine. But I just don't go around like saying, like, oh, we're going to play this game because we're going to grow the game. Like, no, I try to build Duke into a contender so that more people will come watch. When Duke comes into a city, more people come. When Duke's on television, more people are viewing it. That, to me, is like the best way to do it, because you're creating a larger fan base. You're creating more experiences, more people that, more memorable experiences for people watching your game in person or on television. And then that in turn does that. I don't know. It's just, yeah, I don't love that phrase.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
But now we're going to move on. We're going to take a break and come back and wrap things up with Coach after this on the Blue Devil Sports Network from Learfield.
For any surface in every season, Continental Tire is the smart choice in tires. From ultra-high performance tires like the Extreme Contact Sport to passenger touring tires to all-terrain light truck tires like the Terrain Contact AT, Continental has a tire that gives you confidence no matter the road conditions. Whether you're looking for summer, all-season, or winter tires, Continental Tire has something to fit your needs. Visit ContinentalTire.com to find your ideal tire. Continental Tire, a proud partner of the Duke Blue Devils.
Duke fans know about excellence and achievement and the value of a Duke education. So when someone is injured and needs legal help, it makes sense to call the law offices of James Scott Farron, a statewide law firm managed by a Duke Law graduate. If you're injured in an auto accident or on the job, call on the Hurt Line, 1-800-HURT-LINE. The law offices of James Scott Farron, headquartered near Duke at 555 Mangum Street in Durham, North Carolina.
Winter's here. Tired of the cold drafts and hearing the heat turn on for the 5th time this hour? Talk to the pros at Window Nation. Replacing those old windows is easier and more affordable than you think. Right now, through the end of the month, pay no interest for 5 years and get 50% off all window styles. Don't wait. Let Window Nation show you all the options to fit your needs and budget. It's easy. Simply call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com to get started.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here for my friends at Buffalo Brothers. It's hockey season, baby. I live and work on both coasts, travel the country. Here's the deal. There's nothing like Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials like half-priced appetizers Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and $6 Jamesons on Sunday. Dine in, carry out. BuffBrothers.com. Oh, man, now I want wings.
Back with the Kara Lawson Show presented by Grub as we wrap things up with the head coach of the Blue Devils. Coach, always thanks for the time. Looking ahead, a couple of games against teams from the Sunshine State this week. Florida State, obviously, here Thursday night at Miami on Sunday. Before we talk about that, Thursday has been designated as our We Back Pat game here at Duke. Just curious, your thoughts. Obviously, you had a special relationship with Coach Summit, but just your thoughts on Coach Summit and her thoughts on what the game would look like right now if she were still with us.
I think she'd be excited about where the game is in terms of the growth that we've seen. You know, we've talked about the TV contract, the popularity, the crowds, the investment in multiple athletic departments. You know, it used to be back when I was playing, there weren't a ton of athletic departments investing the type of resources that they are now investing in women's basketball. There needs to be more investment, and there needs to be more athletic departments doing it. But it is a fact that there is more, more programs doing that. And so she would enjoy that. I think she'd also enjoy that it's harder to win, now than it ever has been, and enjoy that there are more teams capable of pulling upsets in conference tournaments and in NCAA tournaments, and it's not just chalk as it was for so many years. So I think all of those things are a sign of progress, and that she would be excited about.
How special is Thursday going to be for you to honor Coach Summit's memory?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I try to do that every day, to be honest with you, like just in how we run our program and what foundational principles are important to us. And so I think there's a lot of honoring in that, even though it's not a public, And so it is nice, for our program once a year to honor her memory publicly and what she stood for. And certainly for me, how much of an impact she had on me. Most of my players, I do think they know who I shouldn't say I do think, I talk about her, so they do know who she was. But it's not like they can remember watching her coach because, they were very young. I mean, so you're getting into a generation where they don't remember her on the sidelines. The older generations do, but they don't. And so that's why it's important that we talk about our history and that we talk about the people that helped shape the sport, because they don't have that recall of like, oh yeah, I remember I used to watch her teams. Like, my players didn't watch her teams because they were young, or maybe they did when they were like 5 or 6, but they were too young. So I think that's important to keep those things alive in our game.
Let's look ahead to this week. Florida State here at home Thursday night at 6, at Miami Sunday at 2:00. Give us a couple keys that your team is going to need to do to be successful and have a 2-0 week.
Yeah, I mean, the same keys that we've been talking about, right? Limiting turnovers is important. These two teams do a great job of disrupting you and using their athleticism to make it really difficult for you. And so we're going to have to be really good there. Obviously, the rebounding, which we've talked about, we've got to be really good on both ends for both of these games. And then the fouling, we've got to get those numbers down, and we've got to get to the line ourselves to be able to get set. So I would say those 3 things, they're pretty consistent in our messaging with our players of what we need to do. And then if you do those things, you set yourself up to be in a pretty good spot.
And would love to have a big crowd here Thursday night at 6:00.
That'd be great. I'm a fan of the 6:00 tip. I don't know, I know sometimes with work, sometimes it's harder for people to get out. So hopefully people are either able to get out early or just buzz on over here right after work.
Coach, always good to be with you. We'll be back at Grub next week, and I look forward to a couple games this week.
Thank you, Chris.
That's the head coach of the Blue Devils, Kara Lawson. Thanks for joining us for the Kara Lawson Show presented by Grub on the Blue Devils Sports Network from Learfield.
Live from Grub, you've been listening to the Duke Women's Basketball Radio Show. Our coverage of Duke Women's Basketball has been brought to you by Coca-Cola. They say Coke Zero is irresistibly tasty. Does that make it the best Coke ever? Find out for yourself. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Blue Devils Sports Network.